Good morning again, brothers and sisters at Grace. Look forward again to this week just sharing with you a few thoughts that have been on my mind. I'm going to go through this week just one of the Psalms. It's actually, I would say, my favorite Psalm. It's the one that I go back to the most. It's Psalm 63, and it's written by David, as many of the Psalms are. And I'm not going to read through the entire Psalm now, just for the sake of time. We're just going to look at verse 1 this morning, but I encourage you to read through the entire thing. Now, the beginning of the tagline says here that it was written by King David while he was in the wilderness of Judah. And really there's only two circumstances that David could find himself in as he pens this psalm. There's either the first circumstance when he was in the wilderness of Judah was when he was running for his life from King Saul, who was unjustly trying to kill him. The other circumstance that he could have been in is wandering in the wilderness of Judah would be when he was running for his life from his son Absalom, who had usurped the throne of his father and was unjustly trying to kill him. And so either case, we would be safe to say that at this time David's needs, his earthly needs, were both significant and urgent. And yet, what is on David's mind as he's going through these very trying times? Now, I would think, personally, based on what we would read in verse 11, that it's the second circumstance. That he has crossed the Jordan and he's fleeing from his son Absalom, who's trying to kill him and take his throne. In fact, he's already taken his throne, and so he's been betrayed by his own son, and he's off in the wilderness, and he writes this psalm. And let's just take a look at what verse 1 says. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you, and my flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Oh God, you are my God. This is what's on David's mind, is the Lord. You know, and I love that first phrase. I love it so much, where he says, oh God, you are my God. And there's this sense of ownership there. You know, it's always amazing to me when we look in the Old Testament and we see how God chooses the people of Israel, and he tells them, you will be my people and I will be your God. And there's this two-way ownership there that really it could only happen if God allows it because of who he is. You know, we could never on our own strength or our own will say, God, you're mine. It's only because he allows us to do that. And that we can claim that God is our God. And he wants that. He desires that. He wants that two-way ownership of him saying, you are mine and I am yours. And so here David, he exclaims, oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. You know, that term earnestly, if we were to look it up in the dictionary, it's with a sincere and intense conviction. It says, I seek you with a severe and intense conviction. You know, every time I read this psalm, I'm convicted in my own heart. Do I seek the Lord with a severe and intense conviction? And David goes on to expound on this, and he uses very poetic language when he says, my soul thirsts for you, and my flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. You know, we live up north in Timmins here. We just don't know what it's like in a desert. We're not familiar with that at all. And I really haven't spent much time in warmer climates or even desert climates. But I always remember, I don't know if you remember Survivor Man. It was a TV show that was on in the early 2000s through about 2005 to 2015. Somewhere in there, they would be on every few years. There'd be a season of these shows. And Les Stroud would go off into the wilderness and he would use his skills as a survivalist to try and survive in some scenario. And it would be in places all over the world. And I remember one of the circumstances where he didn't make it, or if I remember correctly, if he did make it, it was one of the hardest things that he did, was when he tried to survive in a desert, where water was scarce. And he couldn't get enough water to survive. At the end of it, he had a splitting migraine. He couldn't sleep. He could barely form sentences together and think straight because of the climate, because of this desert, because there was no water. And here King David uses this analogy, saying it's like being in a desert. And what are you most desperate for in a desert? What are you longing for more than anything else? It's just a drink of water. He says, God, that's how I seek after you. That's how I long for you. And it's amazing how when we seek after God in this way, when we seek after him earnestly, it produces in us that kind of longing, that kind of desperate longing for the Lord and for him and for fellowship with him. And it's a longing that only he can satisfy. And so that's verse 1 of Psalm chapter 63. We're going to go through the rest of it this week. I just want to leave you with that thought this morning, something to think about, something to pray about, and even before the Lord to have an honest conversation with. What are the things that I long for? What is important to me? What am I seeking after? Do I earnestly seek after the Lord? So God bless this morning, and have a good day.